From the Carl Chevrolet Studios in West Des Moines, welcome to Iowa Live. I am Lou, and also welcome to the Ides of March. Well, very busy program for you this morning, but first and foremost, we need to step in and say hello to the one and only Kim Baer from the Baer Law Office to talk about a very important topic. But first, Kim, you enjoying the great weather we're having?
Oh, I love it. By the time the nice weather hits us in March, I mean, we're all ready for it.
I think so, but we're going to be talking about something that maybe people aren't ready for when it comes to their employment or maybe their end of employment. Let's talk about non-competes and what a non-compete means in the state of Iowa, because there's been some things said about a non-compete at times that aren't necessarily true.
That's right. I think a lot of people in Iowa think that non-competes are not enforceable, and that is not the case. And so when you are either accepting a new job or if you're leaving a job and there is a non-compete involved, you really need to read it and pay attention to it.
Okay, explain what a non-compete clause is.
So the best example, Lou, let's just say that you're going to hire me to sell shoes at your shoe store, and you don't want me to learn about where you're getting all of your shoes or steal any of your customers. So at the time that you make me a job offer, you say, hey, Kim, I'm going to have you sign a non-compete so that you can't leave me and go work at another shoe store for the next couple of years. And so that would be part of the job offer.
Okay, so that would be like one of the things you'd have to agree to before you took that job. Now, what goes on with that too? You said a couple of years. Is that pretty standard?
Yeah, what we typically see is 1 to 2 years. There are cases out there where it's longer, 5 to 7 years. And certainly if I'm selling a business, let's say I'm buying your shoe store business, I don't want you to go down the street and open up another store. So that might just be a non-compete that's in place for even longer.
All right, now is this the case where if someone quits the job that you gave them, or what if you terminate them? Does that still apply?
Yeah, most non-competes say that they go into effect if you are terminated or if you quit. So if somebody fires you and you have a non-compete, it usually then goes into effect. And so you need to make sure you know what that's about.
Are there any non-compete clauses in contracts that might be a little too broad for the spectrum?
Absolutely. So in Iowa, for a non-compete to be enforceable, there are 4 factors. So the first one is it needs to be limited with regard to a time frame. The second one is it needs to be limited in geography. So for example, if I'm selling shoes for you, it should be maybe the Des Moines area, maybe Iowa, but if it was the United States, it'd be too broad. It also needs to be limited in scope. So for a good example is, let's say you have me sign one for your shoe store, but it says I can't go work in retail. It's not just limited to shoes. So that also might be too broad. And then the fourth one is we have to have consideration. So it either has to be part of a job offer, or let's say I come and work for you and I'm selling shoes and I'm just doing such a great job that you're worried I'm going to leave and compete with you. And you say, hey, Kim, I know you've been working here a while, but I need you to sign a non-compete. You have to pay me for that, give me a job promotion, give me something that's that's called consideration, because I'm giving something up by signing a non-compete.
All right, so a non-compete can come into play after you are hired, so somebody can enforce that or ask you to sign it. Now, do you have to consent to sign a non-compete like that?
You don't, and so if you don't, then it's just a question of whether or not you'll still be employed. But if they give it to you and they want you to sign it, if they want to enforce it later, they need to make sure they're giving you consideration, whether it's money or promotion or something of value.
All right, so you don't just sign it and say, okay, we're good. You can be able to use that to your advantage, right?
Absolutely. Lou, we have a lot of people that call us and say, hey, here's my non-compete I signed. Is it enforceable? And sometimes it's not, because it doesn't meet those 4 criteria. So courts don't favor them in Iowa, but they will enforce it if it meets the 4 criteria.
Explain trade secret laws in the state of Iowa.
Yes, yes. So I wanted to mention for people who own businesses, let's say you have never used a non-compete and somebody leaves your business and they steal your client list or your secret recipe. Iowa does have a trade secrets law and that would come into play. And so even though there's no non-compete, you may still have a claim against that former employee if they took something that you were treating as confidential or secret.
Right. We remember the pizza story from years ago right here in Des Moines.
Yeah.
Where that came into
Yeah.
play. People have questions about this. How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, just give us a call at 515-279-2000. We're more than happy to take a look at your non-compete. I think we charge a flat fee of maybe an hour of time. And if you're an employer and you wanted to have us draft one, we do those too.
All right. Kim Baer, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for clarifying things when it comes to non-compete clauses.
Absolutely. Have a good one, Lou.